Suppose that P stands for the statement, I will mow the yard, and Q stands for the statement, I will wash the dishes. We're assuming that these are two promises that you're making to your parents in the morning. Now, why would you ever want to let the letter P or Q stand for a statement? Well, we're going to have to write statements a lot, and it's just a lot shorter to write P than I will mow the yard. We have some other shorthand below. The upside down V means the word and the regular V means the word or. So P, the upside down V followed by Q, which we would read P and Q, means I will mow the dishes and, oops, better not mow those dishes, I will mow the yard and I will wash the dishes. What we want to examine is, did you keep your promise? I mean, if you promised in the morning that you will mow the yard and you will do the dishes, and when your mom and dad came home, you had done both or done neither, would you have kept your promise? So let's look at each individual case. In line 1, I put a T under both P and Q. That means it's true that you did mow the yard and you did do the dishes. So, did you keep your promise? Well, sure you did. You promised that you would mow the yard and do the dishes, and you did both things, so you kept your promise. So I'm going to put a T under the column P and Q. Line 2 would mean that you mowed the yard, that was true, but you didn't do the dishes, so that was false. So, when your parents came home, had you kept your promise? Well, I think we all know that if you promised to do both things and you only did one, then you didn't keep your promise. So I'm going to put an F under the column P and Q. Case 3 is a lot like case 2. We only did one of the two things, so we haven't kept our promise. And boy, you better look out. In the last case, you didn't do anything. People are going to be mad. So you certainly didn't keep your promise there. So what we should learn from the chart is that in order to make a conjunction, that's the word and, true, both statements have to be true. Okay, now I'm going to add another column. This is going to be a column for P or Q. Now P or Q would be the statement, the promise that you're going to make in the morning, that I will mow the yard or I will do the dishes. And again, we're going to look at combinations of truthfulness for the two statements and see if the or statement is true. So in the first case, in line number 1, it says that P and Q are both true, which means you really did mow the yard and you really did do the dishes. So the question is did you keep your promise that you would mow the yard or do the dishes? Well, I think the answer is obvious. You did even more than you said. Nobody's ever going to be mad about that. So you kept your promise. We're going to put a T under the column P or Q. Okay, again, in number 2, a T on P and an F on Q would mean you mowed the yard but didn't do the dishes. Your promise was to mow the yard or do the dishes, so you did at least one of them. So really, you kept your promise. We'll put a true there. In case number 3, you did not mow the yard, but you did do the dishes. Your promise was to mow the yard or do the dishes. You satisfied your promise, so we'll put a T there. In the last case, you didn't do either one. Your promise was to mow the yard or do the dishes, and since you didn't do either one, you did not keep your promise. We'll put an F there. So the moral of that particular column is, to make an or true, at least one part must be true.